everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Becca and this is my channel where I talk about all the houseplant things. Today we're going to be talking about 5 plant things. I guess I should only hold up one hand. 5 plant things that just don't interest me. So there's a lot of trends and things going around in the plant community. I'm sure that you have seen 1 or 2 of these in practice, and I too have seen these things in practice and perhaps even tried them myself. And I just didn't want to continue doing it, or I just literally have no interest of even starting. So let's get into it. Okay, so after editing this video, I realized that this video might come across as me saying these things are stupid and they will never work for anyone. All I'm saying is that these things don't work for me. So if you do these things and you're finding success, more power to you, honestly. You should keep doing it. But for me, it just didn't work out. So I wanted to make that clarification. We're gonna start off the list with watering globes. And I'm also going to add on like hydro spikes and other things related to that. So it's basically an automated water system. And I tend to have issues with specifically water globes because they don't really allow the plant to completely dry out to any capacity really, because the moment that the soil is a little bit dry, the water globe will drop some water into the soil, which is honestly really great for certain plants, but I see people use them for a lot of different plants, and honestly I think it's a practice that is a little bit older. Like I remember my grandma always had water globes in her plants. I remember my mom had water globes in her plants. They were those like blown glass ones with like the circle on top, and it was this like cute spike, and they're really pretty to add into your plant. But I think that with a lot of plants being tropicals, a lot of the plants in my collection who do like to dry out to a certain capacity, it just wouldn't really make sense for me to have them. So I've never really been super interested. I did actually set up like a faux hydro spike situation with an old wine bottle when I forgot what flower it was, but it was a flower outside, and for some reason I could not keep it hydrated. Like it was constantly drying out and looked so bad. It was one of the first plants that I got that like wasn't a house plant, and I don't really talk about it because like I don't think that would be very exciting, but I did like used to like throughout college try to grow flowers outside, and they would live for like a little bit, but it was never super long term, usually just through like the spring and the summer, and then I would not know what to do in the winter and fall. So yeah, I think the only plants that I would consider doing this with are ferns, because ferns pretty much need to be evenly moist all the time, and I think a water globe would do that for it. But I don't have ferns. I have set my sights on a maidenhair fern. I might want to try it, but my humidity is definitely not high enough right now. My house sits at like 20% currently, and that's just like not enough. So the second item is soil alternatives. Now this might come as like a disappointing surprise for a lot of you, because I know that a lot of my audience has like requested that I try out Pon, or requested that I try out Leca or something like that. But I just, to be honest, I'm not interested in trying those out. Number one, because soil works really well for me. I've felt very satisfied with soil as a growing medium since I started, and I don't really feel the need to like fix what's not broken, if you know what I mean. So yeah, I guess if anything, I might consider like propagating in Leca more often, because I have propagated in the past in Leca just because I got plants from Adam that were already in Leca, so I just like left them there and they grew roots, and then I put them in soil. And for example, this plant, this is my Philodendron Audubonense, which grew roots in Leca and then is now in soil, and it seems to be really happy. So that was definitely a success. Other than that, I'm just not interested in Leca because it's a really, really big process. It can be expensive, and I just don't want to learn an entirely new growing medium just because I'm bored or something. I'm not bored, so I don't feel the need to do it. So I know that a lot of people ask me to try it, but I'm just not interested. The next plant thing that I'm just not interested in are terrariums. Now, okay, this comes from a little bit of a jaded perspective because I did try terrariums, or one terrarium at the very beginning of my plant journey. I think that I put a Photonia in there, I put polka dot plants, and I put I think like a lemon drop fern, if that's a thing, or like the button fern, I don't remember. And it epically failed, like really, really bad. And I think a lot of that has to do with how I set it up. I thrifted a jar, which I thought was awesome. Really cool option if you can thrift a glass jar with a lid. That's a really cool way to make a terrarium. But what was happening was the terrarium was constantly fogging up no matter what I did, no matter where I put it. So I think that there was just too much moisture in there initially, and it was really hard to dry it out later. And also the soil that I was using was just straight up Miracle-Gro soil, no additives, that's it. I did put like a layer of activated charcoal, rocks, and then soil, and then I planted in the soil. But honestly, I think that the soil was retaining a lot of moisture and making it pretty much impossible for it to like go through the cycle. I don't know. I don't really know exactly what went wrong, but that's my hypothesis. The next planty thing that just does not interest me is bottom watering. Now, to be honest with you, I do not understand why so many people are obsessed with this. I don't get it. I think it's really silly. I can see like certain circumstances where it would be necessary. Like I have an African violet, which is actually reblooming right now. I'm so excited. But I have an African violet, so I bottom water that because obviously the leaves can't get wet or they'll get like brown spots on them. And then also if a plant is like really, really dry, I can understand why you would bottom water. But other than that, I just don't get it. Oh, also I've heard that peperomias prefer bottom watering. So if you do that, that's cool. But honestly, like other than those very specific circumstances, I don't see a reason to bottom water ever because, and I know there's probably gonna be like bottom water warriors in the comments. So I apologize in advance for insulting you, but why? My qualms with bottom watering go as follows. Number one, plants do not get bottom watered in nature unless I've heard this, they're behind a waterfall or something, and I've heard that in the case of peperomias. So in that situation, sure, they're getting bottom watered, but most of the time, they're getting watered by the rain coming down and filtering through the soil. And so I think, especially in a controlled environment like a pot, bottom watering is not always gonna be the best solution. If you bottom water, you still have to top water your plants because what happens is our water has those minerals and fluoride and things like that. And unless you're allowing the water to completely rush through the soil, all of those things are going to sit in the soil and can really hurt your plant. Sometimes if your plant is like really, really dry, it is better to bottom water it at first just to get that soil saturated because water can sometimes just like go off to the sides and down into the drainage hole if you don't properly saturate the soil before you water the plant, if you know what I mean. And that takes a little bit. So bottom watering definitely is a nod to that situation. And the last planty thing that I'm just not interested in is succulents. Oh, I've tried and I failed. Succulents are just not it for me. And especially now that I live in Missouri, I'm really not interested in succulents because they were hard enough to keep alive in Tucson. And now that I'm here, I'm like, no. So I know that I do need to get like a grow light situation for my cactus. So stay tuned for a future grow light re-up video. I do one every year and I slowly add more grow lights to my collection. I currently have one bulb grow light and like one set of like strip grow lights, but I think I'm gonna get more grow lights just in general. So anyway, that will be coming, but basically succulents, no. I actually made a TikTok about how succulents are always recommended to people as a first plant. So I am on TikTok if you want to follow me over there. It's just De La Plants. But anyway, so I made a TikTok that was like just a joke, pretty much just saying like, stop saying that succulents are a good first plant. And so many people commented and were like, yes, like I wish someone told me this, or like I'm so sad that I started with succulents because it made me feel like I couldn't keep plants, which is exactly the reason why I hate when people say succulents are a great first plant. They're just not. I promise you, if you're a new plant person and you're killing succulents, this is no reflection of you. Honestly, it's more of a reflection of your plant, the succulent, than it is of you. So just don't worry. take heart and know that you're gonna be okay. Go get a pothos or a ZZ and start with that. Besides that, they stretch out really easily. They constantly lose their leaves. They're very sensitive to like bumps and hitting them and all of these things. So it's just not the plant for me because I drop my plants, I bump into them. I'm just a clumsy person, and that does not go away once I'm around my plants. It might actually increase. So there's that. They are very beautiful, and I won't say that I'll never buy them again, but I will say that in this moment, I'm just really not interested in buying more, especially because I don't think that there's a very great selection out here that would really intrigue me to do that. Maybe if I visited Tucson and I saw something, maybe then. All right, you guys, that is my list of 5 planty things that just do not interest me. If you want to weigh in the comments down below on anything I said, or if you have planty things in your life that you just don't interest you, leave them in the comments down below and let's have a chat. I'm so excited to see what you guys say. This list was actually really fun to put together, even though it was kind of a negative video. Just know that there's a lot of planty things that I do enjoy. So maybe I'll do my like top 5 favorite planty things to do. Not necessarily plants, but just planty things to do. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. All right, thank you so much for watching this video. If you're not already subscribed, please consider hitting the subscribe button, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.